Today, I'm counting down 5 MCU projects fans love the most and 5 they really can't stand. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss videos like this. Let's kick things off with one of the MCU's crown jewels, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Here's why it struck such a chord with viewers. For years, audiences had been craving to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield again. People grew up watching their Spider-Men, and when the MCU introduced Tom Holland, fans couldn't help but dream. What if all three appeared on the same screen? And that wish came true. Watching Tobey, Andrew, and Tom together was surreal. Fans were blown away. Add to that the return of iconic villains, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard. And it felt like every era of Spider-Man collided in one movie. But the real heart of the film came from its emotional impact. Peter paid a heavy price. Aunt May's death left audiences devastated. The final swing across New York, with everyone forgetting Peter's existence, became an unforgettable cinematic moment. Fans online described it as a one-of-a-kind theater experience, and reactions in cinemas were wild. Screams, tears, chaos. And now, whispers are circulating that Tobey might appear in Avengers Doomsday. Nothing official, purely fan speculation. But the excitement shows just how deep the love runs. Some critics argued the film leaned too heavily on nostalgia, which is fair. Still, for most fans, it didn't matter. On the other end of the spectrum, there are films that didn't hit as hard. Take Captain America: Brave New World. After Steve Rogers, many viewers felt the title was almost impossible to carry. Steve was the soul of the Avengers, the anchor. While Sam Wilson is a strong character, a lot of fans didn't feel he was ready to fully take up the mantle. Rumors even suggest that the Russo brothers might be aware of this issue, potentially planning Steve Rogers' return for Avengers Doomsday. Again, that's just speculation. But the hope surrounding Steve's possible comeback reflects how the audience received the movie. Fans were expecting a monumental legacy moment, a statement that Sam could stand tall as Captain America. Instead, the film felt cautious, restrained. The stakes didn't feel as high as people anticipated. Some enjoyed the smaller, more grounded approach, and that's valid. Not every Captain America story has to be a global-scale spectacle, but for many, it didn't deliver the impact they were hoping for. Now let's pivot to films that absolutely crushed it. Infinity War and Endgame didn't just succeed, they moved audiences to tears worldwide. These movies are often called the greatest in the MCU, and it's easy to see why. Over a decade of storytelling came to a climax. Since 2008, Marvel had been building something extraordinary, and these two films were the payoff. Every hero came together, sometimes for the very first time, fighting side by side in ways fans had dreamed of. And Thanos, he was a genuine threat, not a forgettable villain. He won in Infinity War. He wiped out half of all life and walked away. That alone was jaw-dropping. The memorable sequences are endless. The Titan battle with Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the Guardians. The fight in Wakanda. The portals bringing everyone back. Captain America wielding Mjolnir to prove his worth. And of course, Iron Man's final "I am Iron Man" moment. Just thinking about that scene still hits hard. Fans online agree these films truly felt like the end of an era. Sure, some people point out pacing issues, especially in Endgame's middle, which is fair. But the emotional resonance was enormous. Almost everything about these films screamed historic moment. Contrast that with films that didn't quite connect. Marvel's, for instance, struggled. It released during a rough patch for the MCU. Fans were fatigued, the universe felt messy, and the movie came across as skippable. Viewers often felt they needed prior knowledge. Ms. Marvel on Disney+, WandaVision, the first Captain Marvel film, just to keep up. The main gimmick, with Carol, Kamala, and Monica switching powers, was meant to be playful and inventive. But for many, it became confusing and disrupted the action. Critics quickly pounced, blaming the film for Marvel's perceived decline. That might be unfair, but it reflects online sentiment. Some viewers genuinely enjoyed it. The chemistry between leads worked, and there were funny moments. It wasn't terrible, it just didn't land broadly. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie delighted fans by combining two beloved characters. Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine was enough to ignite excitement, and Deadpool's presence added sheer fun. Together, they delivered a perfect mix of humor, hype, and fan service. Cameos of old Marvel and X-Men characters created an atmosphere of celebration. Blade made an appearance, and the film felt like both a farewell to Fox-era X-Men and an introduction to their MCU future. It really felt like X-Men had officially arrived in the MCU, and fans were ecstatic. Several moments stood out, The TVA scenes where Deadpool browses Marvel history like a streaming menu. Pure comedy gold. Thor showing up while Deadpool casually spoils major events. Classic Deadpool. And Cable's device, which lets Deadpool hop between universes and end up on Earth 616 meeting Happy Hogan, cemented Deadpool's integration into the MCU timeline. Fans online praised how the character was brought in, although some felt it relied too much on nostalgia and cameos. Overall, the reception was overwhelmingly positive. Conversely, Thor: Love and Thunder didn't land as strongly. Fans expected more of Ragnarok's humorous yet heroic Thor, but Love and Thunder overdid the comedy. Thor felt less like a hero and more like a walking punchline. Serious moments were constantly interrupted by jokes, making emotional beats hard to invest in. And Gorr the God Butcher, portrayed by Christian Bale, was compelling in theory, but the film failed to give him the menace he deserved. Many viewers felt the film could have benefited from Sam Raimi's darker, more intense directorial touch. Even Thor's heartfelt adoption of love didn't land fully because the comedic tone kept undermining the drama. Speaking of Ragnarok, that film is a triumph. Thor Ragnarok revitalized the character, thanks to Taika Waititi's vision. The story is strong, exciting, and funny, with Hela as a formidable villain brought to life by Cate Blanchett. Asgard's destruction forced Thor into the role of a displaced leader, connecting directly to Infinity War. Sakar's gladiatorial sequences with the Grandmaster and Hulk are endlessly entertaining, visually stunning, and well-paced. The humor lands without undercutting emotional moments, which sets it apart from Love and Thunder. Fans continue to regard Ragnarok as one of the MCU's best entries, and it proves you can reinvent a character while retaining what makes them special. Then there's Eternals, a movie that tried something ambitious, but ended up confusing audiences. With over 10 main characters, the film struggled to give each one enough development. The pacing is slow, more like an art house experience than a blockbuster. The giant celestial at the end felt disconnected from the wider MCU, leaving fans puzzled about continuity. Some appreciated the visuals and the creative risk, but most viewers didn't connect with it. On a high note, Loki as a Disney Plus series succeeded brilliantly. The show excels in acting, writing, style, and music. Loki's character arc is remarkable, transforming from selfish villain to heroic figure, culminating in him becoming a time god. Fans praise its central role in building up the multiverse, and it's widely considered the best Marvel series on Disney+. Even if Season 2 felt slower at times, the ending's impact made up for it. Finally, we have She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, a series that split audiences. The show leaned heavily into meta-humor and self-aware comedy, sometimes at the expense of superhero action. Scenes like She-Hulk dancing with Megan Thee Stallion were divisive, with many viewers finding them cringe-worthy. The finale, breaking the fourth wall entirely, rewrote the story in a clever but polarizing way. Some loved it, appreciating the self-awareness, but for many, the show missed the mark entirely. It remains one of Marvel's most divisive projects. If there's a film or series you think should be on this list, leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this discussion, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.